It's Chrissy Selby.
And Caleb Selby.
Welcome to Essential Pharmacy Skeptic Toolbox. What are we going to be talking about today?
Today we're talking about patience.
We've had a lot of that in our house.
We have had a lot of patience. Patience is probably one of the more important tools. It's probably an obvious tool for most people. But we're going to go into a little bit more detail today about patience and how it relates to skeptics. Being a skeptic, I understand how I want to be treated when it comes to patience. So I want to give that perspective to you so you better understand the skeptics in your life.
So when we're talking about patience, we're not talking about sitting there for a few seconds after you've explained all your stuff to them and waiting for them to say yes. That's not patience, okay?
That would be funny, though.
That would be. I'm going to sit here patiently until you say yes.
Say something.
Because that's going to make them upset if you do that. Also, it's not just walking away and giving up on them and just thinking when they want to come around to it, they're going to come around to it. Patience is actually an inward attitude of sometimes people need to take a little bit more time to have stuff sink in or digest it or maybe need a little bit more information. And so having a good attitude about it and still sharing it with them patiently, kindly, not getting upset with them is huge for somebody who's a skeptic.
Definitely. And we've identified 3 different approaches that you can apply patience to the skeptics in your life.
Okay, so the first approach to patience is patience with your skeptic. Now, when we first started this journey as a couple, when I had gotten into oils and he was very skeptical of them and didn't really want to incorporate them, it was really hard for me to understand the way that he was thinking about things. So once we got over the hurdle of, okay, he's going to use oils now, he wants to incorporate them, he wants to educate himself better on it, we had a conversation about why was it so hard for you? Like,
it just was.
Why were you making me so not patient? This is our skeptic, so we're going to talk to him about kind of like the thought process of a skeptic.
Okay, so a skeptic processes things very slowly. And
He's doing it right now.
I know.
The skeptic is doing it right now.
I don't want to say things the wrong way. A skeptic is very entrenched in how they think. And even if it's wrong, we don't want to change our minds. I don't have a good reason for why this is. It's just the way we are. Especially if you remember from our first video, I'm a natural skeptic. And natural skeptics don't want to change their minds ever. So even when Christine presented me with her whole explanation and showed me data, showed me studies, showed me even a little bit to the science behind oils, and in my brain, some of the logic things were going off. Yeah, that makes sense. That makes sense. Okay, I can buy that. I still was like, I don't like it. I'm not gonna embrace it. Maybe it was my inner pharmacist talking and just didn't like it. I don't know, but there is something about a skeptic that just doesn't like to change their mind. And so when we're talking about patience, you need to appreciate that that's how the skeptic thinks. Don't know why we are that way. We just are. And so you need to be gentle. You need to not, for lack of a better word, badger us. You need to just present it gently in bite-sized sections and bite-sized segments, and give us time with it. And don't press us for a decision right then and there, because if you do that, we're going to put up a wall. Yeah. We don't want to be pressured into doing something that we're not comfortable doing.
It's true.
Give us the information, let it digest, maybe revisit it in a few weeks, a few months even, and just take your time. Because, again, if you're pushy with a skeptic, it's just going to make it harder for you in the future.
So some of the ways that I practice patience with Caleb...
You're so sweet.
Is actually using it day to day and him just watching me use it. So that was like a really good point for him, because I would use it with my children, I would use it on myself, I would diffuse it in the house. And so I wasn't badgering him with it as opposed, put this on, try this, do this is going to work for you. But actually putting it in his environment so that he technically is experiencing it, but I'm not pushing it on him. So I'm putting it on my kids, boosting their immune system with thieves. I'm putting lavender on them before they go to bed, different things like that. Diffusing so it smells really good when he comes home. Those ones that help support stress.
I just crossed my arms.
Levels.
It smells so good.
Right?
I don't like it.
Exactly. So that's one of the ways that I was patient with him, but still had it around him, so that occasionally I get a question here, occasionally I would educate him a little bit there, and he felt less threatened. I think is a good word for that.
Yeah,
he
that's
felt less
that's
threatened.
A really good way of putting it.
Yeah.
And she nailed this. Again, I don't think she knew she was doing this on purpose. Maybe you did. Maybe you're like this
Oh, you
this
were
puppet
coming
master,
over.
and I had no idea.
You were coming over, whether you liked it or not.
But she was really gentle, and like she was saying, it was in my environment. She would talk about it. She would talk about it with her friends. She would have videos going. Sometimes I'd like kind of peer over her shoulder and see what she was watching. I'm like, that sounds weird, or interesting. Never thought about it that way. And it was just a very gentle, patient approach to getting me to slowly change my mind. So that's kind of the highlight about how to use patience when dealing with skeptics. Obviously, there's more to it than that, and your individual skeptics might, process it a little bit differently. But from a general overview, that's the idea of patience with a skeptic. And our next point is utilizing patience with all of our tools. Now, this is going to be a short point because we've not opened up the whole toolbox yet. We're still developing another 12.5 tools. And so we'll get to some of this in future lessons. But just as an overview now, when you are exercising any other tool or tactic with essential oils and convincing a skeptic, use it with patience. If you're talking about the cost associated with essential oils, do it patiently, do it gently, do it understanding. Remember, from the perspective of a skeptic who just doesn't understand it, or doesn't want to understand it in their hearts, give them time, give them patience, give them space. When we talk about later on having oils available to always utilize for somebody, if they bring up something, or I really am stressed out today, and you have an oil ready to go, that's going to be a tool we're going to talk about later. When it's your skeptic, be gentle with them. Don't just smash it on their face. There you go. You're better now. Be gentle with them. Give them a little bit of space, and conversate with them. Don't be too pushy, because it will only make a barrier, and that won't help you. So we will talk. Hi, Chewbacca. You're making a cameo. So utilize patience with all the future tools we'll talk about. So remember this point for future lessons.
So the last approach that we're going to talk about with patience is patience with yourself. And I'm going to talk about this because
you have so much experience.
I am not normally a patient person, but this has showed me how to be patient. So just a few ways that I was patient. Number one, when somebody puts up their, stoplights and tells you to stop and they don't want to have anything to do with it, don't automatically get angry with them, because number one, you can put them into several different categories. The natural skeptic, you can put them in the uninformed, the informed, and then everybody's a skeptic. So you can put them in all of these situations, okay? So getting angry with them is just going to discourage you, okay? If you keep getting angry with people for not accepting what you're saying. So the next thing for being patient with yourself is take a step back and kind of look at your surroundings, okay? A lot of people will have issues because, with skeptics because of their education, or because maybe somebody right before you was not super patient with them. And so they are, kind of tried to shove it down their throat, tried to show them things, and they're like, I'm not doing this again. Okay, so you need to kind of look at your surroundings before you try to go back in, because if you just go back in and try to badger them, you're not showing them patience. And then the next thing is, there are so many people who want the information, so you being patient with yourself, stepping back, giving them time, and kind of moving on to somebody else that maybe you think that should also have the information, will be helpful to you and be encouraging to you. So just because somebody very close to you, like your husband, is, a skeptic and doesn't really want to know the information, doesn't mean that other people don't want the information. In your family, people that you're close to, and you have to keep the mindset that the reason why you're sharing these oils with people is because you care about them, okay? Yeah. That's huge, especially talking to skeptics. You're not doing it just to make money. You're doing it because you care about them, and you want to make sure that what's going into their body and what they're surrounding by is healthy for them. So if you're just badgering, they're going to take it in the wrong way, as opposed to you're caring about them, and you're going to give them a little bit of space and be patient with them. Yeah,
definitely. And we talked about this earlier too. Sometimes, if you're not a skeptic, understanding how our twisted brains work can be kind of confusing. And so my poor wife would present to me all this information and data she collected, and it was like, there you go.
Bam.
And for her, for a non-skeptic, she would be believed, signed up, and ready to go in a 15-minute conversation. Yeah. For me, it took months. And so just because what worked for you didn't work or doesn't work for your skeptic, don't be discouraged by that. Have patience with yourself. Pace yourself. You're not going to get a home run the first time you start applying some of these tools to your skeptic. It's still going to take patience. So always keep that in mind.
I definitely agree. One more thing I'd like to add is when you finally get to the point where maybe you're in that situation with that skeptical person and a moment arises where you have assessed their oil needs and you have the oils with you. He's laughing because I do this to him all the time.
How convenient.
Which is a later tool that we're going to talk about. To be patient with them and not just jump on them and be like, just put this on, just put this on. I know this is what you need to use. To, have them with you. Maybe like sometimes when I'm outside and somebody keeps saying, oh my goodness, I'm having a really bad outdoor nuisance experience.
Bad outdoor nuisance experience.
That's compliant, okay? And then you say, yeah, me too, and you get out your oil and you put it on yourself.
Time out. I love compliant talk because everyone knows what you're saying, right. But no one says it. That's fantastic.
Right. So you get out your oil and you put it on yourself, okay? So you're using it on yourself because you need it anyways, and you've already incorporated it in your life, and then you're being patient with them because they're going to look over at you and be like... Yeah. And you'd be like, would you like to try some?
My eyes weren't running and my nose wasn't going in this outdoor nuisance experience.
Right, exactly. And so you're there.
She did this, by the way. She did do this for me. We were in a car and I was having... If I was in a car with this outdoor nuisance... Seasonal support?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
And
he was complaining and whining and...
I've only complained in my entire life one time.
One time.
Yeah, I think.
A day.
Yeah. And I didn't have any other things with me to help me. And my wife was like, well, I just so happen to have this. And this was in a key point where I was still like really kind of persnickety and fighting the whole thing. Mm-hmm. But she had them. I was suffering and in need of support, and she had them available, and I, in a moment of weakness, relented. And that was actually a big moment for me.
I was also willing to take a no. So it wasn't like I was like, get it on, Yeah.
And it was a big moment for me because it worked. It did a home run for me. And I wasn't sold there, but a lot of my walls immediately crumbled. And I was ready to engage in more of the conversation. And she was still patient. Even after it worked and everything, she still showed patience after
he didn't crumble. He might have thought he was going to, but
there are holes in the wall. Yeah. Shore them up quickly.
So making sure that you're patient, when that time arises, because it will. The time will arise when it happens and you have it and it is there, and you have to be willing to take a no, okay? Because you're going to have several opportunities. Make sure that you're willing to take a no and that you're nice about it. You put it away, you have it on, you're supporting your body in whatever way you have it. They see it working for you, and you just move on, and you be happy, and you keep conversation going. You don't turn off. Yep. Yeah, patience. Patience all the way around.
If I said no or no thank you, and she had an attitude, it would irritate me. Mm-hmm. And the next time she wanted to try, I would kind of, in my back of my mind, like, oh, I don't want to irritate her. And there's that friction, and that kind of friction, again, puts up the walls for the skeptics. Mm-hmm. So you want to always be accessible. You want to be approachable. Don't build walls, because that's not going to help a skeptic. We already have our own problems with our walls. You need to give some skeptics some sympathy, because we have some issues, obviously. And you don't want to keep adding more fuel to that fire.
I agree. So that's how you be patient with yourself. It's very key.
Well, that is our tool, patience, in a nutshell. Remember, patience has 3 aspects that we talked about today. Number 1 is patience with your skeptic.
Right there. Next is patience with your tools, which we only touched a little bit on this because we didn't want to give you the tools yet. But you need to have patience when you're using the tools.
Definitely. And lastly, I guess you should have done the last one, shouldn't you? But lastly, have patience with yourself. As you are sharing your passion, as you are trying desperately to convince your skeptics in your life to embrace and utilize essential oils, it's not going to happen overnight. Mm-hmm. We have a lot of mental blocks to get over. Be patient with us, as we talked about, because that's just the way we are. We can't help the way we are. We just are that way. And if you don't strike a home run on your first time out, it's okay. Be patient with yourself. and keep utilizing the tools in the toolbox, and you'll get there eventually. That's all we have today for patience. Couple closeout things. If you like these videos, do us a favor, show your appreciation by sharing them. These are shareable videos. We want this information to get out there. We want people to be helped with their skeptics in their life. And number 2 is invite people to the Essential Pharmacy group.
We accept everybody.
Accept everybody. We just keep
invite them.
We just keep it closed to make sure we can monitor content and that kind of thing. But we want everyone to come in. We have other fantastic content in addition to the Skeptic Toolbox videos. We go into some of the science behind essential oils, go into some chemical-free lifestyle chats. So it's a fun thing to do. So please show your appreciation by doing those 2 things. Share the video and invite people to the group.
Thank you so much for your time, and hopefully you guys are enjoying these.
All right. Take care, guys.
Bye.